Sì, questo è in laurea.
So it's a form.
Estamos en streaming. Sí, voy a ver comprobar que está en la web ya en el perfil. Hola, mamá. Ahora. Vamos a hacer yo más tarde.
Shall we start?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. As you know, I would like to thank all the workshop coordinators that were working so hard today, both in the Music Bricks and the Rapid Mix project. So thank you very much for participating and for putting so much effort.
Private service that lets use it.
So now we are going to start with the second part of the event, which are the talks and the performances. So to start, we are going to start with the Orphe, with the guys from New Northern Folk from Japan. So Yuja is here. He's going to be on charge of the presentation. Later on we are going to move towards the work of Alex Murray and Sam. So,
okay. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Yuya Kikukawa. I'm a PhD student of Graduate School of Tokyo Metropolitan University and majoring in interface design. And I was visiting University at Pompey Fab Lab during the summer of the 2015. And now I'm doing the CEO and founder of No New Folk Studio from 2015 winter. I'm interested in interface design of musical interfaces. When I was a master student of Tokyo Metropolitan University, I and lab friends created a haptic lighting sequencer. The Coco is a musical interface that users can control by intuitive and tactile actions such as pushing, holding, and timing. And sometimes I work as an engineer.
すごいよ。
This movie is a commercial film of Suntory Hibiki, a famous whiskey made in Japan. At that time, we made a interactive whiskey glass. Each glass has a 3D axis and mic. It can detect tilting, touching, swearing, and drinking of the user and produce audio and visual effects. In this work, I did most of hardware engineering and designed sound interaction between users and sound. Like this, I'm interested in interface design and sound interaction design. To design physical instruments, the important point is not just sound. Gesture design, physical feedback for player, and visual feedback for audience are also important. In the genres such as tap dance and flamenco, shoes works as instruments. The playing gesture is as beautiful as the dance. Physical feedback for player is stable because he or she is hitting the ground. And visual feedback for audience is intuitive because sound is perfectly corresponding to the player's gesture. With this inspiration, I made a prototype of Orphe. It has a pressure sensor that are laid in the sole and microcontroller sends sensors value to the computer wirelessly. The computer analyzes the peak of the pressure and detects the step of the user, and it generates the sound and sends a message to trigger the shoe LED flash. I brought this prototype at Music Hack Day Barcelona 2014 and collaborated with 2 Dutch hackers to create one performance. It was called Brachioradialis, and it received the prize of the Spanish Ministry of Industry, prize of Celebration, and Excellence Innovation Award. After this experience, I noticed the possibility of shoes instrument. At the same time, interactive lighting effect is very impressive for audience. Although simple LED shoes already exist in the market, there are no interactive ones. Then I came up with the concept of Orphe. After returning to Japan, I took part in a hackathon called Bugen Hirameki. It is a famous hardware hackathon in Tokyo. Then our team suggested a web service called Lumina Share, a share service of the LED lighting pattern. It was awarded the grand prize. After this hackathon, my shoes concept was expanded. By connected to the cloud, the interactive LED shoes can be smart shoes. Not just the LED pattern, user can share sound and movement data. Connected shoes have a possibility to be used for various purposes. To realize this idea, I invited my graduate school classmates Takaharu Kanai and Kyosuke Nakanishi and established a corporation called Noihawk Studio Inc. I pitched our idea to some investors and received some assistance from Abalabo, IoT accelerator company in Japan. At the same time, IoT movement in Japan was getting hot. DMM.make Akiba is a share office and a factory in Akihabara, Tokyo. Akihabara is the most famous electric city in Japan, and there are many electrical parts shops. So it is very convenient place for hardware startup. DMM.make Akiba offers members a facility valued at $4.5 million, comprising 150 machines for hardware production, such as 3D printers, testing devices for acquiring public certification for electric appearance, and platforms for mass production. This co-working space was established in November 2014, and we are using it from that time. Now about 200 people are working in this place. Then I could do prototyping efficiently. But of course, making shoes is not so easy. Especially, it is almost impossible to make sneaker by hand, so basically it needs factory manufacturing. But collaborating with shoemaker in Japan and using equipment in DMM.make Akiba, we could make shoe prototypes. Like most of startup companies, to raise funds for mass production, we decided to use crowdfunding. We designed shoe prototype and shot a promotion movie. And finally, I named this shoe system Orphe after the mythical Greek musician and poet Orpheus. This is the movie.
Orphe is a smart shoe system for artists and performers. The sole of each shoe contains almost 100 serially controlled LED lights, cutting-edge motion sensors, a Bluetooth module, and an ARM Cortex-M3 processor. Finding a way to make shoes that have batteries and a host of electronic components inside them has been very challenging. But through close collaboration between a shoemaker and our engineers, we've been able to achieve a design that functions well as both an interface and practical footwear. The high-density, full-color LED lights embedded in the specially formed Orphe soles can each be controlled independently, allowing users to create unique, customizable lighting patterns.
ユーザーはスマートフォンやタブレットを通じて簡単に光のパターンをアサインすることができます。また、明るさや色を運動に応じて制御することができます。
Each Orphe shoe captures the movements of your foot and can send this motion data to an external device or application in real time using its onboard Bluetooth module.
それによって例えば、自分のダンスに同期した音楽演奏をしたり、もしくは自分のモーションによって映像の演出を操作するようなことができます。どのようなパフォーマンスやアプリケーションを作っていくかというのは、この靴に興味を持っていただいた皆さんと一緒にさらに拡張していきたいと考えています。
We provide a service that lets users share the lighting patterns, sounds, and interactions they've created online. Through this service, you can download other users' designs or practice dancing along with their gestures. We've also released a software development kit, so anyone can develop their own applications that make use of the Orphe hardware. We've prepared a framework that makes it easy to control Orphe's inputs and outputs. And using our open source tools, anyone can create and release applications for our system. Orphe connects various genres of creativity, from dance, music, engineering, and fashion to everyday life. We are excited to work with artists and innovators from all over the world to develop and expand this creative platform.
Okay. Just after launching the funding on Indiegogo, we took part in South by Southwest 2015. We exhibited shoes prototype and demo applications. This exhibition caused a great sensation and a lot of media covered Orphe. After that, we did many promotions. For example, I did a presentation talk in Slash Asia, an entrepreneurs event in Tokyo. And we did some Orphe's performance with some artists and dancers. After such many efforts, thanks for the many people's help, we successfully reached $30,000 our goal, and now the funding is over $60,000. Now, Original funding campaign is finished, but still you can fund our campaign and get Orpheus system kit before it is on sale. This is Orpheus story. From now, I talk about the functions of Orpheus. Orpheus consists of ARM Cortex-M3 microprocessor, 9-axis motion sensor. It is including acceleration, gyro, and compass. XP wireless module for Music Hack Day 2050 version, and about 100 Fukara LEDs, and battery and charging circuits. Users can design lighting pattern using our smartphone application, and these patterns can then be shared over the internet. Then you can read your gestures using the motion sensors, and then use this gesture to trigger some events, music or writing patterns. Or to control an external devices such as a computer or projector. So this is the application. Like this, each shoe is sending the 9-axis motion sensors data in real time, and the user can design the mapping between this sensor data to the lighting effect or sound or external devices. So it is not just a LED shoe, it can be a kind of smart shoes. And the locus of Orpheus is visualization of movement. This is just a long exposure photo, but it can represent the movement of the dancer in detail.
Provide a service that lets users share the lighting patterns, sound.
Looking ahead, we want Orpheus to be more than just a standalone product. We want to provide tools like APIs and shared libraries so that anyone can develop new applications. We are also creating an online network so that users can upload and share the lighting design and gesture they have created. Our ultimate goal is to create a platform that brings together these open APIs, the Internet of Things, and this collection of shared data. Tomorrow, for the Music Hack Day Barcelona 2015, we will rent a shoes prototype and provide pure data API. And unfortunately, the shoe size is only 40 and 43. So if you have bigger feet, please find another small collaborator. Maybe, so female is okay. So please find female collaborator. And Pure Data I/O API can handle streaming data of 9-axis motion sensor in each shoe as input and wireless LED controller as output. I and Nakanishi Kyosuke is the engineer of Nonifog, and take part in the full event. Then we can support your hack anytime. So the API looks like this. Oh. Okay, there is short time lapse, but maybe it is. I'm using several applications and it is getting heavy. But anyway, so if you are getting used to Pure Data, it is quite easy to use this API, and we will give this file, and you can access any nice motion sensor data. And there is output control area. So for example, just messaging, you can control the color and it is when it moves, it live. So okay. Anyway, you can design the interaction between gesture and sound and lighting. And to the most talented hacker, we will give the Orphe Innovation Prize. We will give Orphe System Kit in December 2015. Then you will be the first user of Orphe. And you can be a special Orphe hacker, and we will support you to make new applications for Orphe. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Julia. We have time for questions, so if any of you wants to ask something to Julia, this is the time. There you go.
I love the shoes. I was wondering, have you ever thought of using the same system, but not issues, but some other kind of object, like job holding object or something like that?
Often we are being asked about it, and actually we are thinking expanding this system to other kind of wearable devices like bracelet or something, and of course it can be just lighting system, but we are now concentrating on shoes. So it is kind of our dream is to make the smart shoes now, but we are thinking that this is open source, so we are hoping that someone makes another product using Orphe system. So if you want to do it, please make another product.
Did you have already requests from major shoe manufacturers, shoe brands, like to integrate it with other shoes? Did you have any inquiries of any shoe manufacturer like Nike or Adidas?
Okay. Actually, we have some negotiation with shoemakers, but officially there is no advances now. First model is our original, but our business model is not just making entire shoes. The licensing this smart shoe system to shoemaker, it sounds good. So any case is okay for us.
Kind of two questions actually. One, I'm wondering if you have these shoes in use with a large group of dancers, and if that causes any problems with the Bluetooth. And my second question is about your whiskey glasses. I would love to hear more about that project and know maybe sort of also how it works. Is it something that's integrated into the glass that you have to wash, or just about that project in general?
Okay. For the first question, Oh, I forgot your question.
Sorry, the first question was if you have had a large group of dancers.
Okay. Yeah, it should be global. But our past project is making mass product, and it should be a reasonable price. And so it is not for kind of big pro stage. So we know the Bluetooth LE is not so tough system, but it is quite reasonable for this mass production. And for the street dancer, it is enough to use. And for the small live house, it is enough, we think. So we are thinking that we should make a stage after this product, therefore pro performance, the more high price, more stable version. So it is kind of schedule. And for the second question, so what do you want to know more? So this is not on sale. This whiskey glass is not on sale, and so we made the electrical board here, the bottom of the glass, and it was not packed completely. So for sell this product, we have to make waterproof and the pack, and it is wirelessly charged. So we didn't make it completely, but we are thinking it is possible to sell in the future, but no, it is just commercial.
Thank you, Julian. Now we move to our next talk by Alex Murray-Leslie and Sam Ferguson about computer-enhanced footwear for live art. So Alex is one of the co-founders of the live art ensemble Chicks on Speed and a PhD candidate at the Creative and Communication Studios of the University of Technology Sydney. And Sam is a musician, researcher, and programmer who is also a lecturer at the University of Technology Sydney. So, are you ready, guys?
Sorry for the, okay, I think my keynote doesn't like this, so. We're just gonna change laptops for a second.
So we wait a second for changing the presentation to another format.
I can already start without the slides. So yeah, I'm Alex, and I'm in a performance art group called Chicks on Speed, and also doing a PhD. And actually, Sam is. Chicks on Speed began working with self-made musical instruments in around 2005. We started making self-made musical instruments because working with electronic backing tracks on stage, it's sort of like we felt like we needed this additional sort of extra spectacle going on stage. So we started to develop what we called object instruments. And these were anything from amplified devices on the head to body-centric instruments. And in a way for us it was very important that they were very fashionable because, you know, when you're a performer in a pop group, it's important that you're actually also wearing something that's quite loud. And so making these sounding devices that also looked great, you know, it worked very well. And you gauge that by looking at your audiences, of course. So I think you could say that what we do is we develop bespoke new interfaces for musical expression. but they're purely one-off pieces that are made for a cultural sphere, so they're not, in a sense, they're not for mass production, though they can be mass produced, some of them can. And sorry, still going. Some of the first ones that we made were shoe-based instruments. The first one that I'm going to actually show you in the talk is the high-heel shoe guitar. And that's an analog device that you plug into an amp and that we use during our pop song, We Don't Play Guitars. So it just felt like during that song we needed to have some sort of a solo going on. And it was perfect to hook up a high heel to a Marshall amp stack and play, you know, like Glastonbury or something like that. It just seems to work very well. And you can actually really blow people away with it if you plug the shoe into a lot of different effects and stuff like that. So then moving ahead, so we started to work on using the body as like a sounding instrument, and we were really into going naked on stage. So we used to like slap each other and mic each other up and create this thing called butt slap bongo. And so there's been a lot of experimentation going on over the years with these self-made musical instruments, and a lot of them we actually developed here at Hangar from around 2008 onwards. We worked with Alex Posada on 3 of the instruments that we made, because Chicks on Speed is really about the notion of collaboration. So we never see what we do in isolation. We always work together as bigger clans. And so working at Hangar, we were working with like 10 people on the Theremin Tapestry, or on the issue, we also worked with Miguel de Quieras, who is here at Hangar also. And can start now. So I think one thing about making instruments for live art performance is that every time you make an instrument, you learn a lot about it, and you learn a lot of things that don't work with the instrument on stage, because it's one thing to develop something in isolation, but when you're actually using it on stage and you're under pressure, like now, you realize certain things don't work. You know, for instance, you've got a very short setup time, and or it needs to be performative, the sounds need to be right. So a lot of the time you're developing these things, and then you realize by about the 3rd prototype, oh, okay, that didn't work, this didn't work, okay, let's make another instrument now. And that's sort of what happened with the shoes. So here we go.
The presentation. Let's just play it out a little minute.
Yeah. Next.
Okay, give it a effort. All right, you will have one.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. We are. Okay. Go back to the
Screen and move it here. Yes, I'm going to have to be doing the control. Yeah, next slide, please. So this is, so yeah, you just saw the prototype of the high-heel shoe guitar. Actually, you can go back, please. And you plugged a jack in here, so a 1/4-inch jack, and then you plugged into an effects unit, you know, metal zone or whatever, 3 strings, and the pickup is here. And the thing is with it, it's great and you can play it, but the thing is it relies on your hands to play it. So that was sort of a bit of a drawback in a way, because it's a shoe and the shoe should be worn on the foot. So that then led to the next one. And this is the e-shoe that I was talking about, that we developed here at Hangar, and it took 2 years to develop this. And inside here there's Arduino XP And these are actually just touch sensitive, so it's not, when you're walking, it's not making any sound, it's purely when you're playing. The thing that we realized about this one though was that because we didn't have the possibility to do rapid prototyping at that time, we went into production with it, and Max Kibarden, who's the creative director of Bruno Magli, he designed the shoe for us. And but then we realized when we put it on stage, it was too high, and so we were having accidents whilst wearing the shoe. And so we had to develop a special playing technique, but I'll go on with that later. Next, please. And so this was the playing technique, basically, that you had to have somebody else play your shoe, because if you were going to do it yourself, you would fall over and break your ankle. And we actually, a lot of the shoes were sort of broken because of people falling over. Anyway, so that was sort of that shoe, and next, please. And so this is the style that we developed. It was sort of this aerial playing style, but in this sort of rock pose. It was almost like doing a guitar solo, but with the legs. And because of the dangerous aspects of this shoe, it actually ended up in other locations that we didn't really expect. And one of those locations was in a vitrine with the Alexander McQueen armadillo shoes that Lady Gaga wore in the Victoria and Albert Museum. And somehow we found that the shoe was more successful as this artifact that you could look at and talk about rather than actually wear and play, because even with it just felt quite limited with what we were doing with it via MIDI over Ableton Live. We wanted something that had a lot more complexity to it. So yeah, it ended up on the foot of Kate Moss, naked in Brazilian Vogue, photo taken by Mario Testino. And so again, it sort of went from this wall of being a musical instrument to actually existing in the worlds of fashion and art. And that, I think that's something that we're very interested in, to cross over these different genres, if you like. And so that led us to my collaboration now with Sam. And we started to experiment with different techniques of, how to sonify shoes during performance. And so, of course, we started with piezo mics, and we just taped them onto the heels and played around in a performance setting. And again, it ended up that the shoes ended up in the air, and developing various playing techniques using aerial legwork.
So just to talk a little bit about that, it was a very simple system. We just had lots of wireless microphone setups that actually meant that we could have 5 different sets of shoes working at the same time, with them all coming into the Maximus P-patch and being kept in different ways. And what was really interesting was that depending on the way that you control the sound and affect the sound, the dancers actually dance in different ways. So you had this kind of control over whether they would do scraping movements, depending on whether that came out with sound or not, or whether they would stamp or whatever. So it was quite fun.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I think the thing we got out of this was that that notion of building characters on stage. So thinking about a bespoke character and what sounds a character should make, and really like interviewing the dancers and asking them, what sounds do you feel that represent you when you're playing the part of remote controlled shoes, where the shoes are leading you. And so it was really that form of practice-based research of researching live on stage that sort of led to this development of the sonic language. And so as part of my research in my PhD, it's around feet. And so I found that there's a lot that have been done with gloves and the hands, and we always speak about manipulation. There's loads of gloves. There's a Mima glove. There's Letitia Tsunami's fantastic gloves that she made with Bert Bongers. And yet there's very little around shoes. Well, of course, there's Yuya's fantastic shoes now. And so I just felt really, I mean, of course, also we've been working with footwear since 2005. So it's almost like this ongoing obsession to keep developing them and making them better and better as they go along. And so, yeah, I wanted to start thinking about the notion of pedipulation instead of manipulation. And thinking about the feet that, you know, we use our feet to walk. And they're almost there to drive us and to balance us and move us through space. And yet we've covered the feet. In a way, we disable our feet in a sense because we're not using them to the full potential. We're not making tools for our feet as we do for our hands. So this was really the drive behind the project, to create tools for the feet that we can undertake complex creative tasks with our feet, but also raise the feet into the air so that you can use both feet within the performative act. And that thing of haute couture, new digital musical instruments that, I mean, a lot of doctors say that we should be wearing bespoke shoes that not, you know, you go into a shop and you buy a 43, but actually that 43 should be different according to your type of foot. So I'm thinking, well, that's interesting, and you could really make bespoke 9 for different feet as well, with different sounds that are like a reflection of your character on stage. And then it came to, so hacking fashion, hacking the body, and trying to work out what would be the next step in designing a new shoe. So Sam and I started to play around with 3D printing and Arduino and XP and putting them inside a heel. And I just like, you know, because the whole thing with like Snowden and Assange, it's all about technology and transparency. And so I was thinking, yeah, we really need to have something very transparent so that you can really see what's going on with this shoe, unlike the issue where everything was like encased in this big plateau and you didn't know what was going on. So this then led to thinking about different designs using a heel that had a circuit inside. And again, thinking about then, okay, we have this 3D printed heel that's now attached to a shoe, but it's a very rough prototype. And yeah, so then I had to start thinking about how do you actually move in these shoes and what sounds will the movements make? And that led to the question of what would be the taxonomy of gestures that come along with these shoes. And so I went to the Pennsylvania State University and worked with Dr. Jonas Rubinson in the Department of Kinesiology. And we used a very elaborate motion sensor system. And basically then I just worked with, next slide please. And you can already start playing this. So just looked at like, you know, like the taxonomy of motions that exist within kinesiology. And this is, you have dorsiflexion, eversion, inversion. And so just taking their gesture system and trying to work out, you know, how would this be to use that on stage in a way. And I found that what was interesting from that experience in the lab there was the actual collection of the data from the different points on the foot, and then actually sonifying that data. The last slide has the sound. Yeah, you can play that one and then the next one. So I used the data that came from the different infrared points that were marked on the feet and collected this various data and then did the visualizations. But they were actually, so it was an idea of like, oh, wouldn't this be great if you're doing this live and this is then projected behind you. And so that is actually the goal for the future of what I'm planning to do. But at the time it was purely collecting the data and then overlaying it. It's the last one. Yeah, that one has some. Actually, in play mode, but I think. Alright. Okay, we won't worry about the sound of it for now. But so anyway, so I captured, I did the sonifications and the visualizations, and then that sort of led back into the work again, and so thinking about the shoes on stage. And actually, doing practice-based research, taking each performance as a case study, and then analysing how are the audience reacting to the performance, and what do they think about the shoes. So also speaking with our drummer and Melissa Logan, who is my collaborator, she's on Speed, and then developing them further. So for the performances, I developed also a costume and had the wig, and we started playing in various contexts with the shoes. So actually making music videos with them, with a drummer and a live art performance artist from Singapore, Malvina Tan. And that's Melissa on saxophone. And just experimenting with them. And so this is actually how we're performing with the shoes now. So we just played at Isle of Wight Festival, and it was quite interesting to then speak with audience members. And one of the things that they did say was like, because they're not used to seeing the feet up in the air, because when you're seeing a performer on stage, you usually don't really see the feet because the feedback box is there. So they were saying like it's really, the visualization aspect is also very important for people to realise that these are audio-visual musical instruments. And so funnily enough, then there was a reporter who had seen the performance at Isle of Wight, and it was really nice because everything they said about us, like Chicks on Speed feature a fluffy space Yeti trying to get a tune out of a mic'd up stiletto. So it worked. So during the whole 1 hour show, they noticed the shoes. So it was really cool to see that. Okay, now I'll do a little demo for you.
Okay, sorry. Some technical difficulty.
So maybe I'll just talk a little bit about what's going to happen with the shoes in the future. And so now that we've got a working prototype here, I'm developing them further with Max Kibata in Milan, and going to develop a whole series of shoes for a big dance that we're going to do that will be performed at the Karl Lagerfeld closing exhibition in Bonn on the 12th of September. And so it's really that aim again to see how far we can push the boundaries and really take them from the stage and onto the catwalk and vice versa, and falling off the catwalk and everything. And it is that thing of like trying to move the shoes from where they are now as a bit of a rough prototype into something really shiny and sort of, really like finished looking, as we did with the E-shoe.
hear me?
Oh, yeah.
When I was in kindergarten, we used to play with our toes a lot. So we used the toes to grab some objects, throw them around, and so on. And then I realized that it gets totally lost when you grow up, because all you do with your feet is like stand on them or sitting on them. And we put them into shoes, like we're kind of bundling them up and stuff like that. Have you thought about like how, and when I saw the guitar that you had, you're using the fingers to manipulate the
I know,
strings,
but that's
right?
why
But we have
these
five,
ones.
we have 10 nice little instruments.
Oh, yeah,
that-
no, I know. I'm developing stretch sensors. I'm working with Stretch Sense in New Zealand. And we're developing stretch sensors for each toe. So you actually have to learn a certain exercise to strengthen each toe that you can actually play. And then there'll be a switcher to switch the different presets that we have in Max and SP. So we're totally just going to use the foot, and we're also going to take away this whole area here, and it's going to be a sock, so that the foot is like, you know, move around.
Brilliant. That was
Okay.
yeah.
So we are running a bit out of schedule, so if you have one quick question, if there's someone, there's another more question. So
I'd love to hear, because you guys are experts, so any doubts or anything that you think I should be doing or looking at would be so amazing to hear your inputs.
well, in any case,
Anybody working in footwear?
I mean, in any case, you can always approach Alex. She's going to be around as well. Someone, Alex?
Yeah. Are you doing something like for two shoes to interact with each other?
This is what, we're networking them now so that when Melissa and I play with each other, it'll be like doing this sort of theremin thing.
Okay, so
on
you
stage.
have more shoes interacting.
Yeah, and then when we have more dancers, they're also going to be interacting.
And how do they interact?
Okay, so as you know, I'm collaborating with Sam Ferguson. I just want to one last thing. I know we don't have much time, but I'm at Creativity and Cognition Studios because they have this program set up, which is technologists working together with artists, and it's really, really amazing. And so I think it'd be great that Sam actually says a bit about the patch so far, and just about this networking thing and how we're going to be doing that.
Okay, great. So a very quick answer is there's a lot about the performance that is still emerging from the prototype shoes. Getting one shoe working is one thing, but once you start doing 2 feet, that's a completely different thing, and 4 feet, which is the current situation, is even more complicated. So I think there'll be a lot of changes coming through. It's been a very organic process, and the patch and the programming is very bespoke for this particular purpose, but I think absolutely one of the most important things is to get the shoes talking back together. But there's a bit of a trade-off there, because if, as a musician, if you want to make a particular sound, you need to be able to say this sound is going to happen if I do this particular movement. But if you have to rely on your partner to make a particular movement to make the same sound, then you kind of lose a bit of control. So there's a trade-off between the two partners that you need to kind of take into account. But that'll be something that will...
Toe sensors
will solve everything.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much. And I also wanted to thank UPF because I've been an artist resident there for like 3 months, 4 months, and did a lot of this development at the Music Technology Group, and thank you, everybody.
Well, now we are starting with the performances. We are going to have two. One by Lady Stewart and Tim Einstein, and we are going to have their in back part, and then Adao Tanaka with a videogram just afterwards. So what we are going to ask you, if you can just stand up, fold your chairs, and leave them like by the wall, so we can start with the first performance. Thank you.
Sí, no, yo no Hello everyone, we're just about to start our little demonstration of the human heart. So you might notice there's a dashed line just around here, like a semicircle. So if you could all sort of cluster around there, that'd be amazing. I'll wait for you to gather. So yeah, great to be here. Thanks for the invite. So my name is Di Maidstone, and this is my collaborator Becky Stewart. And we're here today to show you a project called the Human Heart. Now, the idea for this project came about a few years ago when I was doing a residency in New York City. And I'd regularly go and visit the Brooklyn Bridge and notice all the incredible sounds that I could hear running through the bridge. So footsteps, traffic. As if these journey sounds were actually traveling through the cables of the suspension bridge. And if perhaps there was a way to create a clip-on musical instrument that would attach to the suspension cables and allow us to play these kind of subsonic, unheard vibrations that run through the suspension cables. So this daydream, I took it back to London, and I went to visit Queen Mary University of London, where I'm master's in residence. And I hooked up with Becky, who was studying there at the time, and we decided to try and make this a reality and try and create an instrument. And so a group of us was gathered and made up of students from Queen Mary's, also startups, also Yuli Levitar, who's in the audience somewhere. And we gathered together and we made our first instrument for the human heart, which we tested on the Brooklyn Bridge on its 130th birthday. And so we made a film about this, and the people got interested in it, and it got lots of clicks online. And so we thought, maybe we should keep this going and try and improve our instrument. And so a second version was made for a venue in London called the Roundhouse, which is a wonderful sort of industrial revolution building, which is round with lovely long columns. And we attached our instruments to the columns and attempted to play the wonderful resonant sounds that we heard in the columns. And so this then led, this sort of activity, to an invitation via Twitter from the granddaddy of all bridges. If you're British, you might believe that. And it's from Clifton Suspension Bridge, and they invited us to try and play their bridge. So for the last year, I've been sort of installed in Bristol at the Pervasive Media Studio, which some of you might know, and sort of collaborating with scientists, also sort of very much with London and Becky, and also Arup to develop giant mechanical bows that would vibrate and excite our suspension rods in real time, and then allow us to play the different tones running through each suspension rod. And so Becky is going to tell you a little bit more about the technology and what we're going to show tonight.
So how does one approach playing a suspension bridge? So we are treating it like an acoustic instrument, like you would might have a guitar, where you would have an acoustic guitar become an electric instrument. And you would excite the strings of the guitar, strum it. You capture that audio that's been created and you amplify it, and you pass it through audio effects pedals, the wah-wah pedals, our favorite kind of example. And so we're approaching bridges in the same way. So we are exciting the bridge with the bridge bow, which we don't have here today, because you might not have noticed we're not on a bridge. So we have a slightly modified version of the human heart, which kind of a version we made for the Roundhouse, since the Roundhouse also is on a bridge. And we will have a recording of what this bridge bow sounds like when it strikes the bridge, the Clifton suspension rod. So it's basically looks straight into that light, and you can pretend like you can see it. And that's our interface for kind of the mechanical donging of our bridge, is our technical term for striking the bridge is donging. And then we have our selection of kind of pedals, effects, that control the real-time audio that's being generated. So today it's a recording of the audio. If you're on a bridge, it will be actually the pickup mic of the sounds of vibrating a piece of British heritage. And so we also have kind of tied in the very first part of the development was kind of what is the control of this? How do you as a person, interact with something that is the scale of a suspension bridge. And so we've always, and that concept from the beginning was always the idea of kind of suspension cables that would extend from the body to the bridge to kind of mimic that architecture and kind of become part of the bridge. And so we have our strings here that all kind of connect into the way we control the audio, the way we interact with our installation.
Cheers. So finally, we've just been working today, we've met a lovely dancer from here in Barcelona called Bruna, and we put together a little 10-minute demo, well, performance, I guess, for you guys just to see how it all works. So I'm gonna now pass you over to Bruna.
You just have to do a little test to make sure nothing's fallen asleep. Might as well do it because we want sound from just finding nothing. Give us a holler, Becky. It's okay, go. Okay? No, it's okay. Okay, thanks everyone. Sorry. We got it all the way through.
So now you're going to turn around and your attention will be back towards that side of the room.
Hello. I don't have a presentation. I saw Dr. Stewart made some chicks on speed on the program. I thought, oh, great, in Barcelona. But, you know, it is for Music Hack Day, and so presenting is part of performance. And it is nice to sort of share what one's doing and explain a little bit about it. So, my American fashion brand called Opening Ceremony. Actually, did a collaboration with Adidas. I did it about 3 seasons ago. I found them on internet. But what's really special about these shoes is that it was the last collection that Opening Ceremony did as a couple before they became the creative directors of Kenzo, which they now lead. So, and these shoes don't do anything. Electronic.
The camera, is there any chance? Maybe we can tell the guys. Should I try?
And then Alex's and Sam's shoe project.